Hello, everyone. My name is Sejin Stephen Park with LA County Library, and I welcome you to Life Skills for Emerging Adults, How to Navigate the First Generation College Experience. This series is supported in part by the U.S. Institute of Museum and Library Services under the provisions of the Library Services and Technology Act, administered in California by the State Librarian. This is our third virtual program in this new series for LA County Library, focusing on helpful life skills for emerging adults ages 18 to 25. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce our guest speakers from Cal State LA's Educational Opportunity Program. This program helps first-generation undergraduate students from California overcome social and economic barriers to attaining and succeeding in higher education. And we're very grateful to have them here today to share their expertise and experience with LA County. I'll turn it over first to Ms. Patricia Pavon, Admissions Coordinator, to introduce her team. Patricia, thank you, and the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Stephen. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. So again, thank you for having us. Thank you, LA County Library, for having us, and thank you all who have joined. It is always a great opportunity to connect with others, and essentially our goal for this presentation is that you all leave with knowing someone at Cal State LA EOP, and you feel welcome in connecting with us when you are ready to apply to college or our program at Cal State LA. So I would go ahead and present ourselves. So again, my name is Patricia, and I am the EOP Admissions Coordinator at Cal State LA. And with me, I do have some student assistants who will also be a part of a panel that we will have towards the end of the presentation. We will start off with Daria, then Joseph, and then Joselyne. So you guys can go ahead and wave. And then you will learn more about them later as they share some great insights about their college experience at Cal State LA, how they navigated the process, being a first-generation college student, and maybe they can share some tips that are helpful for you if you are on that same journey as well. Okay, so here is a brief agenda of what we will cover for today's presentation. So we will start off by giving you some background of what EOP is, what are some of the resources and benefits that are available to our students who are part of our program, and who can apply to our program, because we do have some criteria that students need to meet when we consider them for admission into our program. And then we will proceed to the student panel, again with Daria, Joseph, and Joselyne, where I will ask them some questions. And then we do want to leave some room at the end to answer some questions that, again, come in through the chat. If we cannot get to your question, or if you think of something afterwards, we will share our contact information so you can take a screenshot of it, and we would be more than happy to assist you at any other time that maybe you have questions that come up later. Okay, so what is EOP? So EOP stands for Educational Opportunity Program, and we want to let you know the importance of this program because the beginnings of this did start around the civil rights movement in the 1960s, where one of the pressing issues was that there was a lack of access of going to college for very specific racial, ethnic, and socioeconomic backgrounds. Right. So this program was created through the unity of students who were motivated to earn a four-year degree, but they didn't have maybe the financial means or the academic support to guide them through the process. So this program today still thrives in helping students who have been maybe historically underrepresented in higher education. And if they have the potential to go to college, this is where EOP, our program, would like to step in and help achieve these students' dreams. And if they weren't able to attend college because maybe they're a first-generation college student, they come from a low-income background, or maybe they come from a high school or community college that's educationally disadvantaged, this is where EOP can be a great assistance to many individuals. I do want to say that EOP is available at all of the 23 CSU campuses. So like Cal State LA, Cal State Northridge, Dominguez Hills, Long Beach, so on and so forth. So even if you decide not to come to Cal State LA, that's okay. Just keep in mind that this program is available at all of the CSUs. And there are similar programs at community colleges. They're named a bit differently, but they follow the same pattern where they do try to assist students overcome social and economic barriers to be able to attend higher education and earn their 4-year degree. So with EOP, some of the things that we do provide is admission assistance, academic assistance, financial assistance. And again, it's to really help those students achieve their dreams and being able to attain their higher education degree, wherever it may be, whether it's at a community college, a CSU, or a UC. These programs are available to many students at different campuses. Okay, so what are some of the resources that are available to students who do end up being a part of our program? So for high school students who are ready to apply or attend college, we do have some transitional summer programs. And essentially with this, we do invite these students to attend our summer, kind of like a summer school, where they are a part of the community here on campus. So they usually join a few weeks before the semester starts. And this is an opportunity for them to meet their academic support, or what we call their EOP family. So this is an opportunity for them to maybe get familiar with the housing. So some of these students are able to dorm on campus for a few weeks. If they need a campus tour, this is where we provide those campus tours so they can become acquainted on the first day of classes and they don't get lost looking for their classes on the first day, because it could get very hectic. But overall, we provide them an overview of the services that EOP provides, and the services that other offices on campus provide, like financial aid, admissions, enrollment, advising, so on and so forth. So with EOP counselors, some of the students are assigned to an EOP counselor. So a person that will work closely with them throughout their educational journey, such as like picking out their classes, maybe selecting a major or area of study that the student is interested in. EOP counselors also help with career counseling, maybe if they need to find a job on campus or if they need their resume or cover letter looked over, maybe have those networking opportunities. EOP counselors can help with that as well, as long as personal matters as well, because we understand that students have lives outside of their classes. So if students ever need to meet with an EOP counselor in regard to maybe a personal matter, like such as like family or friends that's occurring, those EOP counselors are definitely a benefit for a lot of students that they appreciate when they are a part of our program. So overall, as it's mentioned here, you do receive personal, academic, and career counseling. For the next point, support in statistics and pre-calculus math. So we do have a unit within our office that is dedicated to just math. They are called supplemental instruction. And we understand that math maybe can be one of the most difficult subjects for many students. So we do have a dedicated team that offers support in math tutoring, such as providing study nights, also growth zone nights, where it's a team of individuals composed of also student assistants and staff that do offer those opportunities to students who are seeking maybe further assistance with statistics and pre-calculus math that they may need help in. For the next bullet point, first year priority registration. So what we like to say here in EOP that this is like gold. This is probably one of the top reasons why students want to be a part of our program, because in college, more of the popular classes get filled up quickly, right? A lot of students like to register for those classes that maybe the professor has great ratings online for, or the class is interesting, or the class is easy. So those classes definitely get taken up fast by those who have seniority, because the registration does go by seniority. So if you are an incoming freshman straight out of high school, you kind of are towards the end of that priority list. So you get whatever classes are left over. But if you are part of the EOP program, you have first year priority registration, meaning that you can register with the students who have those first pick of classes. So this is usually one of the top reasons why students want to be a part of our program, because of the benefits of this, where you can get the classes that you want without having to stress about if they get billed up or not. For the next bullet point, there's the EOP grant. So there is an EOP grant. It's about $1,500, but we do put in parentheses financial aid, because at Cal State LA, this grant is determined by our financial aid office if you qualify for it or not. So it is something, another benefit for a lot of students, that they appreciate being a part of our program. So aligned with that is making sure that you're completing your financial aid applications. And that could be a whole workshop on its own. But just know that for our program, we do have some financial assistance. It's not guaranteed to every student, but if you do qualify it, for those that receive it, it's a big help, because it could go towards paying for books, supplies, parking if you commute. So that can be very helpful when it's needed. For the next point, laptop computer loan program. So kind of with COVID, I think for a lot of people, we realize, right, technology is very important as classes started to move through Zoom, or to do homework online, or to do classes online. So the EOP program does have a laptop borrowing program where you can go ahead and borrow the laptop, of course, for your educational journey here at Cal State LA. To help you again succeed, because we understand that technology is very useful, especially when you're in college. And if you're not able to afford it, we don't want that to be a barrier for you to complete your education career here at Cal State LA. So that's definitely a plus as well. Um, and then, of course, expenses start to pile on quickly. Even with printing or Scantrons and Blue Books, all of that costs money if you go to our bookstore on campus to purchase that. So what EOP provides to its students who are part of the program is free printing. So you don't have to worry about maybe as you're turning in your essay and you need to print it and go to the library, and maybe you don't have money to deposit into your account. If you go to the EOP office, we provide free printing. Also Scantrons if you need to do maybe a multiple choice exam, or Blue Books if you have to do a written exam. So all of that is available to students just to quickly access, because we know that expenses can pile on quickly, or things kind of come up unexpectedly. Maybe you forgot about an exam that's coming up, but EOP is there to help as much as possible. For the next point, enrichment workshops. So this is where we want to make sure that students are still connecting with their EOP counselors that they are assigned by attending the workshops that these counselors feel can be very beneficial for first generation college students. So even learning about time management, how to manage your time so you are not overwhelmed, especially at a college like Cal State LA, where most of our students are what we call commuter students. So they go to school and work, right? So maybe the environment here at Cal State LA, it's not so much where students have the luxury to just hang out on campus. For many of our student population here, they kind of go to classes, they go to work, right? They have somewhere to be. So it's kind of important also to learn about time management skills. Other types of workshop is financial literacy, maybe how to read your financial aid awards. What is it going towards if you are receiving those awards? Is it paying for your tuition? Is it paying for your dorming experience? How can you save your money if you need to? Also, email etiquette, that's a big thing, especially for incoming freshmen. You have to start getting acquainted with how to communicate with your professors, right? And not sending emails like they're text messages, as we kind of frequently see with students nowadays. Another example is discovering your learning style. We acknowledge that there's different learning styles for each student. So those are the types of enrichment workshops that EOP counselors provide to students just to make sure that they're acclimating themselves with the college life, the college environment, and that they're succeeding and also preparing themselves for the job market and what to expect once they graduate. And then towards the end, Student Leadership Conference. So there will be opportunities for those EOP students to be involved by attending conferences that are hosted by our chancellor's department, the office. So it's a chance usually where students, staff, faculty come together to talk about their EOP experience and how it's been beneficial to them. And then, of course, we like to acknowledge our EOP students by doing graduation celebrations. As you can see in one of the pictures here, this is during one of the senior recognition celebrations. So that's one of the counselors. Her name is Tanya, and this is her cohort that she had for that graduating year. And they're all wearing that yellow sash. So that yellow sash is given for free to the graduating EOP students to kind of wear proudly that they graduated and they were part of the program, and they can wear that to the general university culmination that we have, right, kind of like in May. So these are just some of the resources that we make available to EOP students who are part of the program. So I hope that piqued your interest, right? And maybe you're kind of left wondering, like, how do I apply, or who can I, right? Who can apply? So the process in applying, I do encourage you to connect with us afterwards, like following us on Instagram, so you can know when we have maybe like workshops to help you do the actual EOP application. But for now, in terms of who can apply, you do have to be categorized as low income. And the way we verify that is through your financial aid application. So you either complete a FAFSA or the California Dream Act application if you are undocumented. So that's how we determine if you are low income. Another criteria is being a first generation college student. So that means that neither of your parent or guardian has earned a 4-year degree or higher in the US or any other country. So it only applies to the parent or guardian. If you have siblings that have earned a 4-year or higher degree, that's okay. So siblings do not count. We're only looking at parent or guardian. Another thing, because we are the California State University system, you do have to be a California resident, or typically students who are undocumented qualify for AB 540, non-resident tuition exemption. And if you need further explanation on this, we could address it maybe in the Q&A chat box, or please feel free to connect with us after this presentation. And we can definitely go over those big details that I know can get lost within the presentation. But essentially, we are just looking for students who are motivated and demonstrate that need to want to attend college and be able to earn a 4-year degree. We are looking for those students that have that drive and energy to be a part of a system that I think is very beneficial to anyone who is able to apply and join as well. So with this next part of the presentation, I will start the student panel. And I will first invite Joselyne, but just keep in mind that when I'm asking these questions, we have done other presentations like at high schools, community colleges, or within the community. And these are some of the common questions that we do get asked. So for Ms. Joselyne, I want to ask her, how are you paying for college? Because whether you're interested in going to college or not, one of the biggest fears, like, well, how do I pay for it, right? This is one of the biggest investments that students and families take on, right? Then there's the fear of loans, especially with in the news nowadays, right? The loan forgiveness program, that's on hold. So Ms. Joselyne, I just want to take a moment, if you can share, how are you specifically paying for college as a first generation college student? Like, what has that experience been like?
So yeah, one of my main concerns coming into college was definitely how I was going to pay for college. I think that I didn't necessarily apply for the program because I wasn't aware of like the program and like the resources that were available. I didn't come to find about the program until later when I was a student. But I did apply for financial aid, and I received a couple of Pell Grants, and I received some grants. I was able to pay for all 4 years of college. Um, I was able to pay, yeah, financial aid was able to cover all 4 years. The only time I did have to pay out of pocket was the time that I was enrolling for the summer. Financial aid does cover some of it, but it's still not all of it. But yeah, it was able to cover most of it.
Thank you. And to clarify, did you take out any loans? I know maybe that's a big thing that's on a lot of people's minds.
No, so I didn't have to take any loans. So after I received my my financial aid, after my tuition was paid, I was still receiving a refund amount after my tuition was paid. So I didn't have to take any loans.
Thank you, Joselyne. Yes, so I do want to clarify when she says refund, because I also worked in financial aid. So if you receive a certain amount of grants and it goes to paying your tuition, and once your tuition is fully paid off, if you have any money left over, that's usually given to you with the intention that you're going to use that money then to buy maybe books, your parking, right? Any other educational expenses. So Ms. Joselyne, is that something that you've used your refund for, or is no,
So
anything
I've
else?
used my refunds for either to pay for courses that made me pay for courses for homework online, or for books or parking. That's also one. Mhm.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so wow, thank you for mentioning that, because I know that's another new thing that's happening nowadays with some classes are requiring you to pay for a program to do your homework. So that's interesting. That's something new that I've learned recently, but thank you so much, Joselyne, for sharing that. And then I'll go ahead and just kind of again close it off that if the financial part of going to college is one of the biggest concerns, you're not alone. I just want to kind of reaffirm that. I know it was something for me as well that I would like literally stay up at night wondering like, what do I do? Because even taking out a loan, it was daunting. I didn't want to take out loans just because of what you hear, right? That you're never going to pay it off or it's going to take years to pay it off. But after working in the financial aid office, just please know that there are these offices, services on campus to help you complete the financial aids application as complete as possible. So maybe you're not making any honest errors. But also like there are opportunities for you to fund your education, and EOP can be one of them with that small grant, but it helps, right? So I will transition into the next part with Joseph. So let's say you're at college now. And you're trying to decide what area of study you want to go into. So for Joseph, he has a major and a minor. So Joseph, if you don't mind sharing maybe why you chose your major and minor and what the difference is, if some people don't know.
Yeah, so coming into Cal State LA, I decided to choose criminal justice. However, within my first semester, I felt that that wasn't, I guess, the right major for me. So I ended up choosing communications, and I felt that communications will help me better than criminal justice because I've always struggled with speaking publicly or just doing presentations in general, which is ironic because my major is communications, but I've always struggled with that. So I just felt like I needed to do this, kind of get out of my comfort zone and do things that made me uncomfortable so I can get used to this. It was also a bit challenging me sometimes working in groups because I'm sometimes very introverted and I like keeping things to myself. But I got pushed to do communications and I felt that this major helped me grow as a person and I've gained so much experience. And in the meantime, I also heard that within my major, I won't have enough units to graduate. So in Cal State LA, you need 120 units to graduate. With my major, I felt short of that. So I needed a minor, or I could have just taken any random classes, basketball classes, easy classes. But I decided to choose something that can help with my, something that correlates with my major. And I ended up choosing management. And I guess the big of the pros of this is that it helps with your major, right? So at least for me, it helped it goes with my major. So communications and management goes with it. So if I want to pursue something in management, I already have like the communication skills and then a minor in management. So I decided to choose that. But as for other people, sometimes they just want to do something they like. So it doesn't really have to be something that correlates with their major. It could just be a random hobby that they really like. Some people choose learning a new language, or other people just choose, for example, music, like they really like playing an instrument or they enjoy music. However, they want to pursue something else that maybe makes them more money. But that's the reason why I chose major and minor. So for everyone, it varies on what they want to do. But for me, it was because it would help correlate with my major.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. And it reminded me of an example. It's so true. One of my friends, her major was in psychology, but her minor was in art history. And that was because she thought it was fun, right? Like she wanted to make her workload in psychology courses a bit easier. So she took some classes that were maybe more fun for her. So that's kind of how she ended up with a minor in art history. But she always says that, she learned something from it and still applies it as a behavioral therapist in her career today. So just something to keep in mind that as you're maybe choosing a major or if you're trying to decide on a minor, these are definitely things to think about. And I'm sorry, Joseph, are your major and minors correlated to maybe potential career plans that you have in the future?
Yes, I guess I still don't know exactly what I want to do or pursue after college. But I've learned a lot in my management classes. So to become a manager and everything like that, this helped me a lot. To help you become a leader and well, learn how to be a good leader. Communication classes, they don't really tell you that, or they don't really teach you that of how to be a leader, how to like, they tell you how to communicate, of course, but like tell you theories and everything like that. But as for management, they go into depth about the business. And if you want to pursue like supervisor, be a supervisor. I learned how to manage people. We'll do role plays in some of my management classes. So kind of real scenarios that I wouldn't do in my communications classes. So I felt that this major or minor will help prepare me for whatever job I might pursue, whether it be an office job or any job that I want, because it helped me, I guess, develop a little more as a leader and kind of step up. Whereas if I just stayed in communications, I don't think I would have been able to do that.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, definitely. These are things to keep in mind, right? When you're choosing a major, a minor. For many people, making that decision is very much influenced by maybe the potential career choices. Or if you're not unsure, this is kind of the opportunity for you to explore those options. And I want to clarify that here in EOP, we don't distinguish one or the other as better or worse. We acknowledge that as first generation college students, a lot of the times the classes that you take here, this is your learning opportunity where you're almost self-discovering yourselves, right? Because particularly with first generation college students, it's a family event. For a lot of students, we do see that maybe parents are very involved in deciding what career choices their child should pursue. But for others, we really want to nurture the identity of the student so they can find themselves and be able to do something that they want to do, or for whatever their reason may be behind choosing a major and minor. So thank you, Joseph. So I will go ahead and transition now to Daria. So for Daria, I overall want to ask you, how has your college experience been like? Because you have a very unique experience and I think it's very inspirational. So if you don't mind maybe sharing what your experience has been like at Cal State LA.
Hey, hello. So I would say that my college experience really started in high school. I didn't really have like a dream school or anything, but and then the high school I went to, which is in Compton, California, which is like a low income, underfunded, education disadvantaged area. They were more about us like graduating high school and going into the workforce versus higher education. And so they promoted a lot about going to work, or they had like a lot of classes that you could take to get a trade in high school, things like that, promoting. We had like a lot of recruiters from like the military at our school and stuff like that. And so I knew that I wanted to pursue higher education, but I didn't have a dream school because they didn't promote schools to us that well. So I joined a program that was a college prep program for the 3 years that I was in. I was in it for 3 years of the 4 years I was in it for high school. And through that program, I was actually exposed to EOP, Cal State LA's EOP in 10th grade, my sophomore year. And when I would experience college recruiters and college campuses, it was always like, in my opinion, very elitist, white supremacist in these areas. Like there was like everybody seemed like they had a lot of money. They had parents who had already been to college, things like that. And so it was very, very discouraging until I was experienced EOP at Cal State LA. And then there was a recruiter there who was actually from a similar area to where I was from, a Black male. And he had like a similar story, and he even like understood, like we would speak to him in like slang and things like that, and he understood what we were trying to say to him. He dressed like us, things like that. And when I was choosing college, as Joselyne and Patricia both mentioned, like financial aid or like paying for college was one of the big things for me, right? But I would think that the number one thing that pushed me to go to Cal State LA would be that recruiter from EOP. And so he was somebody who I felt like was in my shoes, but I saw him graduate from both his bachelor's and his master's. And I was like, okay, well, if this person who was in the same shoes as me went to Cal State LA and found resources that would help him to graduate in like the way that he wanted to, I thought that that would be for me as well. And so when I went to Cal State LA, I actually had no idea what I was doing. I grew up with my grandmother. She did have like an AA degree, but from like the 70s. So it was a lot different going to college for me than it was for her. I didn't have any like parental support at all. So it was just me and my grandma in this big school by ourselves, had no idea what we were doing. And EOP really did take me under their wing. I almost didn't choose Cal State LA at the very last minute, actually, because like she mentioned those transitional programs, and one really is like summer school. And so Cal State LA told me that if I wanted to be a part of EOP, then I had to complete this 6-week program. And I was like, no, like I do not want to give up my summer again to school. Like I'm over it. I thought I graduated and was done with giving up summers for school. And then here's this one college telling me that if I want to go here specifically, I have to do 6 weeks of summer school. And when I went to, it's a little bit different now, but when I went, it was from 8 to 4:30, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. You couldn't miss one day or be late to one class. So I was like, no, like, I'm not doing this. But then I spoke to Josh again, and he basically explained to me that he felt the same way, but he wouldn't have been in a position to like recruit me or to help me if he hadn't gone through that program. And so I did go through the program, and I don't regret it. I don't think that I would have made it this far into college without it. Summer Bridge really does. There's a gap that you go into college with that you don't even realize you have, because you don't know what you don't know, right? So what Summer Bridge did for me, EOP did for me, was bridge these gaps. And the gap is so small that you would think that the things are so small that doesn't make a difference. But in college, you don't have anybody to hold your hand. And so the smallest things, like how to find classes online, or even asking for help from professors, finding resources on campus, that's not stuff that the first generation college students necessarily know about or how to do. And so Summer Bridge gives you the skills and the tools in order to like basically know how to do that. And college was hard. Even with that gap fillers, it was still hard the first generation college student. Again, we talked about these different majors and minors, like not knowing, like something so simple as choosing a major and minor is so hard for first generation college students, because you haven't been exposed to like higher education. You don't know like what the options are for you. Also, like we talked about paying for college. One of the bigger things, I lived with my grandmother who was retired. I knew that if I went to go to college, I was paying for it in whatever way that meant. And so it was definitely an experience there too with financial aid. And like, it's not like for me, financial aid wasn't a one and done either. Like I was fighting for different grants each year. I did get some scholarships, which helped a lot. but I dormed on campus too because I didn't think it was safe. I didn't drive for a long time in college, and it wasn't safe for me to go to college from my neighborhood. Like catching the buses and things like that wasn't safe. So I had to dorm. So I was fighting for extra grants, and I took loans in order to pay for I dormed on when I dormed on campus up until the pandemic. And things like that. But I would say that EOP has made such a difference, not only with just like the little gaps, but like just connecting me to networking to other places on campus to find me resources that they don't have. So another thing about EOP is that they don't have everything. They don't have the answers to everything, but they are very connected with resources on campus. And so if they don't know something, they can definitely refer you to the people who do, and just simple things like that. And overall, I would say that I had a good college experience. I had good grades, and I also got like the partying out of me, and like I work on campus, I had other jobs on campus, things like that. Overall, I had a good college experience, but I don't think that it would have been as easy without the EOP program. So.
Wow, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. And I love hearing Daria's story every time because that's essentially what EOP is trying to do, right? EOP is trying to help students like Joselyne, Daria, Joseph, and many of us who it can definitely be beneficial, right? This program can bridge those gaps, as Daria mentioned. So thank you, Daria. I do want to thank also Joseph and Joselyne for sharing your experiences. I hope that was insightful for everyone else. As you heard their stories, they navigated the college experience each very differently, but almost similarly, right? As first generation college students. Again, and this is where EOP tries to come in to bridge those gaps, to help students overcome those social and economic barriers that were present back in the 1960s, but they're still here today because we still see them today, right? These stories are still present, these issues that need to be addressed, but the program is doing its best to reach out to students to help them as much as possible. So thank you to my students for that. I really enjoy hearing your stories every time, and I truly thank you for being part of this event today. I will go ahead and put our contact information up first. Please go ahead and take a screenshot, take a picture of this. I know lots of questions come up maybe as you're sitting with this information and thinking about it. Maybe you're ready to apply to college, or you're interested about our program or what we have to offer. So please feel welcome in connecting with us after this. You can visit us in person, you can call us, email us, visit our website, or one of the funner things, we have an Instagram. We do have a social media committee that does post on there regularly. So we would greatly appreciate it if you can follow us. We do post very helpful information on there as well, such as workshops for students who want to apply to Cal State LA and our program. So we have those interactive workshops where you can come in and ask us questions about your application, or anything else that you may have a question about. We can definitely assist you as much as possible. As Daria mentioned, if we don't have the answer, we have lots of people that we can contact to further assist you. So I'll go ahead and leave that up for a little bit more, and then we will be happy to go into the Q&A portion, where we'll have an opportunity to answer your questions, which I do see we have some very good questions so far. So thank you so much, everyone. And again, please feel welcome to take a screenshot, and then I'll go ahead and remove this information so we can get started on questions. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Patricia, and thanks again to Daria, Joseph, and Joselyne for sharing your journey and your experiences. Yeah, we have some great questions here, starting with, if I am in EOP at my community college, am I automatically part of EOP at a Cal State?
Great question. We receive this a lot. So unfortunately, no. If you are in EOP, and it's usually EOP and S at community colleges, you do have to apply to EOP at Cal State LA or any of the other CSUs, like if it's your first time, because the programs are different. I believe at community colleges, it's called Extended Opportunity Program, and they do provide slightly different services. So when usually transfer students visit our office, they think the services that we provide are very similar. And they can be, but I do want to differentiate that, yes, you do have to apply, like if it's your very first time, and that'll be through the Cal State Apply login. So when you're first applying to Cal State LA, the EOP application will be within that portal that you will apply like any other student. So they are two separate programs. So yes, you do have to reapply.
Great, thank you, Patricia. Next question. I heard that EOP is for minority students. Is that true?
So historically, it started that way. So when I mentioned during the civil rights movement, yes, so certain specific racial, ethnic, and socioeconomic backgrounds are greatly affected by not being able to go to college. So that does include maybe Black or African American students, Latino students, Asian and Asian American students, right? So in that sense, yes, it does help a lot of the student populations from historically underrepresented backgrounds. But essentially, any student who is of low income and they're a first generation student can apply. So when you're applying to Cal State LA EOP on the application, it will ask for like your race or ethnicity just for I guess documenting purposes. We want to know like who our student population is. But when we're looking at your application, we are primarily looking at your income, which is based on your financial aid information. And then of course, for your first generation. Now, of course, for minority students who feel like that's been a barrier for the reason why they haven't been able to attend college, that's something that we're definitely interested in, right? If you feel like you come from a disadvantagedly neighborhood or economic background, and whether that has to do historically with your identity as a person, then please, we welcome those information when you're providing it on your application. But just keep in mind that when we're looking at your information, it is primarily based on your income and if you're first generation.
Great, thank you. Next question from Sammy. Do you have to be an incoming freshman to apply, or can you join in your second or third year?
You do not have to be an incoming freshman. You could be a transfer student. So if you are coming in from a community college, you can apply as a transfer student. So freshmen and transfer students are those who are accepted if you qualify, of course, after reviewing your application. Yeah.
Great. How many more classes is a major than a minor?
So a major is definitely the bulk of your units that will take up what's required in order for you to graduate. Now, the difference on how many more that is going to depend on your major. So I know for some students who maybe major in like engineering, it will take maybe more units for them to finish their whole educational degree at Cal State LA, just because of like the rigorous classes that are needed, compared if you were to do something like I'll use my major as an example, sociology. So that really will depend on what you're deciding to major and minor in. And this is where we encourage you to either connect with us and we can provide you the resources. Like if you have an area of study in mind, please feel welcome to email us and we'll connect you with that advising center, that department. And most of the times on their website, they'll indicate like how many units are required to complete this degree. And if you wanted to add a minor, how many units is that required? And you can already start to gauge maybe how long it will take you for you to finish. Either, let's say, if you started as a freshman within 4 years, or if you're coming in as a transfer, maybe 2 years. So it will depend. So to this person, I just definitely still connect with the whatever school you're interested in going to, and know that maybe your best resource will be talking to like an advisor, a counselor, someone that can look over classes and maybe help you make that determination.
Great, thank you, Patricia. Follow up to the earlier question. If I'm a freshman at Cal State LA, can I apply to EOP in my second year? I believe you said we could. Right?
Okay, so that is a good question. So the only time that you can apply to EOP is when you are first applying to the university, because our application is within the Cal State Apply portal. So you will apply to EOP again at the time that you are first applying to the university, because EOP is considered an admissions-based program, meaning you can only be admitted at the time that you are applying to the university. So if you already started your journey here at Cal State LA, unfortunately you can't apply kind of midway through. But what we do like to reassure students is that our services are open to all students. So if you did need assistance, or you wanted to seek the counseling services or the math tutoring or those enrichment workshops that we mentioned, that's open to all students. So please don't hesitate to still connect with us and visit our office if you need those type of services.
Great, thank you. And looks like our last question for now. If you are an EOP, do you have to graduate in 4 years? Do I have to go to school full time?
Actually, Daria, would you like to answer this one since you're in EOP, and I guess you can maybe share about your journey.
Okay, so for me, this is technically my 6th year. So I started in 2017. I'm a biology major and I also have a minor. I only take about 3 classes a semester because of the amount of units that each of my courses are. So instead of graduating in 4 years, I did a 6-year plan so that I could, as an EOP student, so that I could get the best grades possible, because technically I'm on the medical base pass, meaning I would go to medical school. And to get the best grades possible for me, I didn't feel like I could take like a full 4 or 5 classes, which is what they say is 5 classes a semester in order to graduate. But for my major and for what I knew I could handle, I didn't think that I would be able to complete like a chemistry class, a calculus class, a biology class, and then 2 underdivision elective like courses or something. So me personally, you don't have to do it in 4 years. You do it at your own pace. Me personally, I did mine at a 6-year pace. Technically, it was supposed to be 5.5, but I didn't do summer classes like some of the semesters because I was being lazy. Or not lazy, but I was kind of burnt out. My major has like a big burnout, like a major burnout. Like a lot of people talk about being tired after doing my major biology. So for me and my own sanity, my own personal reason, I didn't do a 4-year plan. So it don't feel pressure to do to graduate in 4 years if you can't. I know some majors may require that you do take a full load, like nursing and like things like that, but you don't have to graduate in 4 years in order to be an EOP. So it's your own educational journey.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, and thank you for answering. I only kind of picked you to answer it because I know, and not to point at that, oh, you're taking so long, but just to show students that yes, students can take their time with it, depending, especially like Daria mentioned, the workload that's required of your major. So definitely, we want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself also as a person first, right? And then we can go from there in terms of like how fast you can finish.
Patricia, one more question here. Normally, how much is a year at Cal State for classes, books, and parking? Probably varies, but
It will vary. The Cal State LA Financial Aid Office actually provides a what's called a cost of attendance, and it's just to give people an idea of how much students' attendance at Cal State LA for the year like of 2022 or 2023. So I'll go ahead and put the link in the chat. Maybe I'll share the screen too, but in the meantime, let me just go ahead and put the link on the chat. So again, it's called a cost of attendance, and this is something that the financial aid offers to students, again, as an idea of what the average will be for a student to attend college, and it does include the textbooks. I do apologize. Let me go ahead and share this screen. Okay, so this is the link that I just shared. Again, it's provided by the Financial Aid Office, and the year that it's providing it for is 2022-2023, and it's called Cost of Attendance. And essentially, it'll let you know if you're a commuter, like if you commute to campus, you drive to and from. This is essentially what it would cost. If you live on campus, of course, you're dealing right with like your dorming, maybe the meal plan, things of that sort. or if you maybe live off campus, maybe you rent an apartment with a friend or roommate. So you can find that information here, but I do want to say don't be discouraged by these numbers. Again, this is just an average that's used to let you know what you can expect. Because I know that when I was applying to colleges, I saw this and I was like, oh, I can't go. Like that's never possible, right? In a year, 23,000, but it doesn't exactly work out that way if your situation is different. So this is just some numbers that the financial aid office provides just to give you an idea. So I hope that was helpful in answering that question. But if you would like more information, the financial aid office would also be a great resource for you to connect with when it comes to maybe how much school will cost and things of that sort.
Great. Thank you, Patricia.
Mhm.
And thank you, the audience, for all those great questions. Does anyone else have any questions they would like to submit? We have a few more minutes here at the end. Wait for a second.
Great
Okay.
questions. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, once again, just thank you all so much for this presentation, especially to the student presenters, Daria, Joselyne, and Joseph. As someone also struggled with my own first generation college experience, I really appreciate all that you do, Patricia, for the students.
Thank you. Yes.
And of course, thank you to the audience today for your time, questions, and engagement.